Andy Aledort, how's it going these days? What are you doing?
Oh, it's going great. I've been playing a lot, and I have a new record out that was picked up by Steve Vai's record label, Favorite Nations. My record is called Live at North Star, and it's a live record, and I'm very excited about it. Steve Vai had some great things to say about it, and Joe Satriani as well. He really loved it, and I was hanging out with Johnny Winter the other day, and Johnny and I actually used the same drummer,
Hmm.
a guy named Vito Louise. He plays drums for Johnny, and he's my drummer too, and Johnny really loves the record, so that's cool. And the next issue of Guitar World, the June issue, which comes out in about a week, has a feature article on me and on the new record, so that's pretty cool.
Well, that's good. Do you have a DVD coming out with this?
Well, I have a couple different instructional DVDs that are coming out. I don't have a DVD of my live record or a DVD of me performing, but I have a new instructional DVD coming out in the next couple weeks, In Deep with Randy Rhoads.
Wow.
And it's a whole in-depth thing about playing in Randy's style, and the kind of things that Randy did in his soloing and his use of scales and modes and patterns and stuff like that. So that'll be coming out soon, and I've been working on some other instructional stuff too. I've done some DVDs for a company called TrueFire. Last year I put a DVD out with them called Slow Blues Power that focused on soloing and slow blues, and it's been very successful. So I have another one coming out probably, I guess, in about 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And that's called Progressive Blues Power, and it's a little more complex, some more challenging lines and, more complex approaches to soloing and soloing techniques and stuff like that. So
You're keeping busy, Andy.
I try to. Yeah, I also, I have my own, with the band, we play out as much as we can. We just, this Saturday, we played we played a house concert in the town I live in. I live in a town called Seacliff on Long Island, outside of New York. Where are you, Jason?
Nova Scotia, Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's a few different people who have house concerts every once in a while. So this one friend of ours, this is the third one we've done. She's got this very big modern house, and we usually get about 100 people, into the living room, because it's, like I say, it's this very big modern house, and it's all glass. It's really cool. And so we just played the house concert this past weekend. And aside from our regular shows that we have coming up, we have two shows. We're going to be opening for Johnny Winter at the end of June, one at B.B. King's Club in New York City, and then the other at a club up in Foxborough, Massachusetts, next to the Patriots Stadium. There's a really great club there called Showcase Live, and we're going to open for Johnny there. And actually, we may be opening for him sooner than that, May 1st, down at another really great club called the Ram's Head Inn down in Annapolis, Maryland. One of the things I've been doing for the last 5 years also is playing with Dickie Betts in his band. And Dickie wanted to take most of 2010 off, but we actually do have a few shows coming up as well. So toward the end of July, we'll be playing in New York City, and we have a couple other dates. People can check on Dickie's website for that. But I played at the Ram's Head as a member of Dickie's band a whole bunch of times, and been looking to. This is one of the things I'm looking to do, Jason, is try to get a booking agent and get out and play more, as much as I can with my own band. So doing these opening slots for Johnny is going to be a cool thing.
Yeah, Johnny Winter's coming to Truro, Nova Scotia, I think, this summer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Blues Festival.
He might be playing in Ontario, like tomorrow night or something.
So he's keeping busy himself, too.
Yeah, and actually, I was just up at his house shooting a thing with him. We're doing a big feature on him in the next Guitar World. So I did a big interview, a bit like a long, in-depth interview with him, just about all the trials and tribulations of things that he's been through in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
For people who know about Johnny, he wasn't doing well health-wise and physically, and a lot of it had to do with misprescribed prescription drugs and a lot of problems with his manager. And so over the last 10 years, I guess it was maybe about 5 years ago, he got a new manager, and he's really changed, and he's gotten off of all these, over-prescribed prescription drugs. And Johnny's just doing great now, like fantastic. Like he's pretty much back to his old self. So that's what the point of the article is going to be, that Johnny's, just doing so well. And he's got a lot of good things going on himself. He's got a new record deal with Megaforce, I believe, and he has some new DVDs coming out. And he just played over the weekend at the Wani Festival down in Florida,
mm-hmm.
with the Allman Brothers, and I guess they're the headliners for the Wani Festival. But Johnny and his manager, are very supportive of my playing and my band, and so hopefully, we're gonna, start to and then continue to do some more stuff together. So now another thing we did with Johnny, just to tell you, is while I was up there, I shot a whole lot of video with him, and he did a whole teaching thing on playing slide guitar and playing Highway 61,
mm-hmm.
His version of Bob Dylan's Highway 61. So that was fun. That was really cool, and he's just doing really well. He told some really funny stories, and so that's a cool thing. It's going to be in the July issue of Guitar World.
So how long have you been with Guitar World magazine now? You've been there for a little while.
Yeah, I've been at Guitar World for it's a little longer, a little over 17 years now. And for 9 years before that, I was at a magazine called Guitar for the Practicing Musician. So it's really 26 years now I've been doing stuff for guitar magazines, and I used to do quite a lot of transcription books, but in the last 6 years, the thing I'm doing, more than anything else, besides playing, is instructional DVDs, and I have at least 20 some odd instructional DVDs out there. There's a lot of them, so that's been a cool thing too.
Now you publish like 200 books, let's say, on guitar transcriptions and stuff, and how long does it take you to make one book, let's say, like that, transcriptions?
Well, the first thing I would say is the number 200 is just a rough number, but it really sort of represents the number of different books that have my transcriptions in them. And like there are books that are what you call matching folios, meaning the book represents a specific album, like Jimi Hendrix's first album, Are You Experienced? I did the transcription book for that. Or just about all the Hendrix records I did. And I did Frank Zappa's Hot Rats and Apostrophe, among many other albums. I did a lot of Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and Yngwie Malmsteen and some of that stuff that was really, very challenging to write down, to transcribe their playing. Is pretty time consuming. So how long does it take to do a transcription book? It's kind of tough to estimate that. The average song, let's say, takes a day or 2 days or day and a half or something like that. And if there are 10 songs, then you could say, all right, maybe it's 2 weeks, between 2 and 3 weeks to do all the transcribing, something like that,
So
at the most.
now, do you do the notes and the transcriptions also? Like, the actual
Notes in the tablature, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, we used to, originally, for many years, all the books, all the books I've done, yes, have been standard notation and tab. In Guitar World, for the last number of years, I'm not even sure how long at this point, they stopped using standard notation, and everything is just tablature. But for the longest time, everything was standard notation and tab. And when I first started doing it for Guitar for the Practicing Musician back in 1984, there was no standardized nomenclature for how to indicate specific guitar techniques like feedback and tremolo arm and fretboard tapping and things like that. So I had to standardize the ways to indicate those things in transcriptions. So some of the things had existed before, had been written different ways by different people, and then other things I had to come up with myself. But ultimately, what I needed to do was come up with a standard, uniform, universal way for those things to be written down. So that's what I did. So it was a combination of finding ways to write those things in standard notation, and then you would just, transfer or translate, the ways to indicate those idiosyncratic things to guitar, like bends and slides and pull-offs and all that stuff, into the tablature.
So could you say like you're the pioneer on creating this method, more elaborately?
Yeah, no, along with Wolf Marshall and a couple other people, yeah. But because I was the music editor of Guitar for the Practicing Musician, it sort of was my job to standardize, the symbols and the ways to notate those things. And then most of those things became standard practice, in the world of music publishing. So yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about Robert Johnson. Did you ever transcribe anything for Robert Johnson?
Yeah, I have done some Robert Johnson. As a matter of fact, recently I did a video lesson for Guitar World that we called In Deep with Crossroads. And what I did was I taught how to play Crossroads in Robert Johnson style, and then I taught how to play it in Eric Clapton style. And Robert's style of playing is not something that I have studied to the extent that I've studied, somebody like Jimi Hendrix or, some of the rock and blues guitar players, electric players. But I've studied it to a certain degree to learn about his tunings and capos and, some of his picking patterns and use of the slide and the chord voicings and stuff like that, So I could, notate it, I think, pretty accurately.
And would you say it was really complicated to, really, let's say in the start of, people transcribing Robert Johnson, really to know what was going on?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that, somebody like Robert Johnson, once you get into using alternate tunings, that has everything to do with the sound and how things are played. There's a reason why a lot of those Delta blues guys used open tunings. Somebody like John Lee Hooker too. He used for the longest time he used Open A or some sort of a version of Open A, meaning Open G or Open A flat or Open B flat. It's basically the same tuning. And then the things, the way to play has to be specific, to that tuning. And then, so the thing is that for anyone who's going to transcribe that stuff accurately, they would need to know all of those things. They would need to know the correct tunings, and so I think the thing is that some of that information, it just gets passed down in different ways. Johnny Winter, one of the things we talked about in the interview I did with him recently, is that he didn't know anyone that played slide guitar or played in open tunings.
Mm-hmm.
But in the liner notes to, I think, King of the Delta Blues, specifically Robert Johnson, it mentions something about the tunings and some of the things about the playing style. And Johnny said just from listening, he was able to ascertain, what those tunings were. And so, part of transcribing is acquiring information, to ensure that, you are approaching it the right way and that you're going to do it correctly. So in this day and age, we have the wonder of YouTube. So if you say, gee, how did Eddie Van Halen play Eruption? You could watch like 30 different versions of Eruption if you wanted to, and, see Eddie doing it,
Right.
So that's been a great tool for people who are interested in transcribing and learning, guitar parts exactly the way they were played.
Do you find that some instruments like YouTube is gonna hurt Guitar World magazine in the future? For people get it all off YouTube now.
I think maybe more so, for the people that are interested in tablature. There's so much tablature on the internet. But I mean, it just, goes along with how, digital content and people being able to get it for free, has hurt everything. I mean, record sales, are so low now for so many artists that we're relying on that as a way to make a living because people can download their music for free,
Mm-hmm.
be it through torrents or whatever it might be. There's so many different avenues, to find the music for nothing. Whereas, of course, that didn't exist not that many years ago. So the magazine business is no different. Part of it is that people don't go to newsstands and don't think about magazines. It's just, there's a whole generation of people that have grown up looking to the internet or their computer, to get the things that they want. And now that we have the iPad, I guess, it's been a success already. It makes it sort of one step closer, or easier, or another reason for people to, that's what they're reaching for, when they're going to want to access written material or music or transcriptions. Yeah, so Guitar World, has had to try to figure out, how do we embrace technology and, where things are today. So we're still working on that. One of the things we're doing is, for there to be a phone app, a Guitar World app, so people can, launch this application and then they can, get our video lessons over the phone. I've already done that with TrueFire. They have something called Guitar Lab. So there's a Guitar Lab app, and you can download that to your phone and see a lot of the lessons, video lessons I've done for TrueFire. So, Guitar World has had to, and we have to still, try to figure out how to, embrace new technologies.
How do you guys decide on what guitar player gets featured every week? I mean, every month, with the magazine.
I have no idea.
No, you don't have no idea. Because
I mean, we look at what's going on in terms of festivals or, just current events and, things that are happening show-wise, or, if there's an anniversary, a significant anniversary that's coming up. Like, for instance, the July issue, it's going to be the 20th anniversary of Stevie Ray Vaughan's passing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do a whole big Stevie Ray Vaughan thing, because that's a significant date.
For sure.
That it's been 20 years. And, we don't feature Stevie and his music or, interviews with him all that often. So it's a good reason to, dedicate significant space to him in the magazine. So, it's all these different reasons. And, it's part of trying to have a successful magazine is put stuff on the cover, that people are going to care about. Jimi Hendrix's latest record, Valleys of Neptune, has actually been a huge success. And, we had a really beautiful Hendrix cover a couple months back, just about the new record. So,
mm-hmm.
You have to look at all the different things that are going on and come up with what we think is going to, strike people's fancy, and it's also important and significant.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate it very much. So just let me know, so when I can check that out.
I sure will. And Andy, you have a good night.
Okay, you too. Thanks again.